We're here?
Oh,
Hello.
hello.
How are we doing today?
All right. Just vibing around mostly. Just had a long day at school, but as be. But other than that, pretty good.
I'm gonna sound like a fucking idiot. You still go to school?
I go to university.
Oh, yeah, I know I am an idiot. I
Yeah. I
uh, so like out of curiosity, because it's gonna I'm gonna wait a few minutes until we start so we can kind of a little bit of
mhm.
icebreakers so we can start with good momentum. Like, how does university even work there?
I know it's different from the American school system in a few ways, because the American school system to me seems like a whole like weird thing, because you have just everything defined as grade as like grade 1 to 12 or some shit. Um, Something like that, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so how it kind of is in America, it's like yeah, it's like that. You have like grade 1 through 12, and then when you're done with I think it's like primary school or something, then you go to university and you like do like where you have like a major or something like that, and then you do
Yeah.
your years and then you're done. Does that kind of sound familiar?
Yeah, so in the Netherlands, you just kind of everyone goes to what we call just basis school. This would be the equivalent of elementary, but like literally translated, which is the basic school. And that's just something everyone does. So that there you get like all what everyone needs to learn, like your basics, like maths and your basic like reading capabilities and all that kind of stuff. You do that for like you go there at like age 4, and you do that for about 7 years, 7 or 8 years. And then you go to middle school. And that's then you kind of get based on how you did on basic school, and like what kind of brain you have. You go either to like there's like multiple levels of it. Like the lower ones like last 4 years, and then there's a middle one that lasts 5, and then there's a higher one that lasts 6.
That sounds pretty. So like this is my first year like in like university. So I'm doing
Yeah.
what they call like the like core classes, which is kind of like it's basically high school plus where you're just like taking like fucking history,
Yeah.
English, and then like after like year 1 or something like that, like when you get all they call it like your core classes, when you get all your core classes done, then you start kind of working toward your major. I don't know why
Right.
I'm guessing the reason that they do core classes is so like here's everything, figure out what you want to do, good luck.
Yeah, no, how it works here is, yeah, like the first half of your middle school. You still kind of have like every core class, right? But you like start getting like more advanced math. You get like physics, you get chemistry, you get all this stuff. And depending on the level that you're at, you also like get a bunch of extra stuff. Like, because I did like the higher one, so that was 6 years. So that meant I also had to do 3 foreign languages.
Oh
Um,
my god,
so it
3?
was English, French, and German. Um, and then at the halfway point, you kind of get a direction. Like there are 4 directions you can go. It's like a economic history one. Then there's like more like a economic something else. I don't remember what it was, like economic culture one. Then there's like physics and biology, and then there's like physics and technicality stuff, and like so
So
there's like
it kind of
tech
sounds
lab.
like it's kind of like a choose your own adventure thing where like you just
From
kind of
that point,
go
it
in.
becomes you choose your own adventure, because at that point you can also like drop one of the foreign languages, or you can like replace it with a different foreign language, and stuff. But you still need 2 foreign languages on the level that I was doing it. So I had English and German. No, French. I dropped German because I was terrible at it. Um, I was also terrible at French. Like that's not beat around the bush. Just stuck at that. And then you finish that up, and then while you're doing your like last 2 years, you start looking at what like college you want to go to. It's either college or university, or like a little lower for like people who want to do some other specific stuff, like specific like people who want to get educated for like hospitality or that kind of stuff rather. So usually those are the people that do the lower level stuff. But yeah, then you just go to you pick a college and or university. You go like you if you get into it, you go to it, and it's very at that point it's very dependent on the school. That's it. What you do. It's very different. There are some courses where you're like, oh, you have like all these different classes and stuff you need to take. Like you have like an economic course, so you have to like do like management and all that kind of stuff. Or you have something that I'm doing, which is game design, which means I don't have classes. I just have a project that lasts about 2 months, and I just have to deliver and report on that, and I will get graded on just that. So I don't have exams or anything like that. I just have those projects. And now that I'm in the third year, I just have a project that is just develop a full game within a year, and they do like you have to like report and check up on it every 2 months. So or a little longer, 2.5 months.
Well, I guess whether if that being fun or not would depend on what you would have to make. Because you could either make like a small 2D game or something, or you could make fucking Minecraft.
Yeah, it really depends on what you make and what you do. But the thing is, like, I'm with like a team of 35 people now working on a game. Yeah, like this is bigger than it used to be. Usually it's between 15 and 20. We just have a massive team because so many people wanted to work on this project. And like the last project that I did, because I did like the third year for like half last time because I because of the whole COVID situation, I had a really wacky path through all the years. I did everything out of order. I like last time I did like a free for all like arcadey tank shooter, like top down tank shooter, like Wii Tanks or something, but a bit more in depth. And right now we're working on making a climbing game inspired by both Zelda and Shadow of the Colossus. So they are pretty decently big projects.
Yeah, I was when you said yeah, I'm making a game. I thought you were. I was expecting like yeah, you are making a game.
Yeah, that was like the first year. That was like
But
the first year. You
that's
click on.
actually better though that you're like having like a team because like you know when you're on unless you're gonna be like a full on indie developer your whole life you're gonna be with a team or even then even if you
Exactly.
make it as an indie developer you're still gonna have a team which will just be a small team.
Yeah, exactly. No, like depending on like there's surprising more game educations than I thought in the Netherlands. Like I thought there would be like zero, so I thought I had to go to England for that. But there's actually a few. There's one of them that's like way more indie focused, definitely, just like smaller teams, smaller projects, way more like casual. But this specific education focuses and gets you to like the point where you can join AAA. So you're learning to work with development processes, with production, and all that shenanigans. And the whole point of this year right now is they're basically giving us a mini like taste of what the industry is like. Like our teachers are not only 50% of the time our teachers are actually teachers for us. The other 50% of the time they act as shareholders for us. So they treat us as if we were making a game for them, and they give us the same kind of bullshit that shareholders would give you just to see how we would do. It's all a bit like the last time it was fine because I was with 20 people, but like they're working with 35 people, and none of them like really is like experienced in the industry. It's really rough, but
Well, that's
but
well I mean I guess that depending on how little people have an idea that could be the fun of it.
it is fun, but it's definitely just a bit stressful because and stuff like that. But it's just mostly like very draining sometimes because sometimes you will just be sat in a meeting with 15 to 18 people trying to make an agreement on something, and you just have to be like, "What the fuck are we doing?" It's interesting, but like mostly like it is what the most interesting aspect about it is like you're doing like I'm doing like this education now to eventually get like a diploma and stuff like that. But they're telling us right now like the industry like does not really care about diplomas. It's more about your portfolio. So that's also where more the focus lies on for the teachers. They look more at your portfolio than they look at your actual like grades and stuff when they see if you're doing good enough or not. So it's a yeah, it is technically school, but it's only because we're getting graded. Other than that, it's already practically work.
At least what you're doing is practically work. That was fun. I guess we could try to get started now. I'm not gonna lie. The entire time I was tweaking your audio because like you were like loud as fuck, and so that's actually a good thing that that conversation happened.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a smart idea. Yeah, no, I have my gain set to max because what I mostly do with my free time is I do raiding in Final Fantasy. So I have to deal with 7 other people all the time and of different quality of their own equipment. So I just have my shit set to max so they can tune it themselves.
All right. So I guess we'll just get started. Then before I hit any of these questions for the people who are watching that may not be familiar with you, could you just like introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, I mean honestly, it's me, Knobbelboy. Like people don't say the K, but in official terms, you should pronounce it. But I've stopped pronouncing it myself as well. Yeah, what is it? Just like I'm just a Dutch guy from, that's about 22 years old now, doing game development, which, I feel like is a pretty natural course for GD creators who did a bunch of levels. They all seem to end up there, so Sponge as well. Yeah, I don't know what to say really about me. Like, I verified Bloodlust. That's the big one, isn't it? I verified Bloodlust. I created God Eater or Astral Divinity. I can't say God Eater anymore. That will get me sued.
I'll bleep that out. Don't worry, I got you. Because if
It's
I
not
don't
that
bleep it
bad.
out,
It's
then
not that
I'll
bad.
get
Don't worry
claimed.
about it.
No,
It's
I'm
not that bad. It's not that serious. I mean, it is pretty serious what happened. I mean, yeah, no, but like they're not like the thing I signed does not prevent me from being able to say it. I'll just say it like that. But yeah, no, the thing, like I don't know. I've played GD for
And you're Dutch. Those are the things that we need to.
those are like the main things. I mean, if people don't figure out I'm Dutch by like the few words I say, then honestly, listen to more Dutch people. We all sound the same.
Yeah. No. All right. So let's start this off. So I guess this is a pretty common question, but I actually don't know this. How did you like find the game? Like, how did you discover Geometry Dash? Like, do you remember like at all?
Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because PewDiePie played it.
Dude,
I think
what?
that was like ages ago, and I think PewDiePie made like one video with a review of them, and I remember watching that, and I just saw it, and that was like my first exposure. I didn't really actively get into it myself. I think that's when I got the light version, and I remember like at some point like just doing most of the light version, and then like just asking my parents if they could buy me the full version on phone, which they did. And then there were a few. I kind of dropped it pretty quickly after that. But then like a bunch of people at school started playing it, and that's when I like got like a few of my friends also played, and that's when I got like re-entered into it, and then we started like competing to beat the main levels, who could beat them faster. Which at the time, which is because like it was like the heyday eras of GD, it was like Hexagon Force had just come out kind of time.
1.8.
Yeah, like early. It's just also like beating like that was like when GD just started to spread around like school places and stuff like that. So like beating like electrodynamics made you like the king, right? Like you were like, damn, bro, you beat electrodynamics, that's crazy. And so yeah, that's like when I started, and from there I just started playing it on like mostly an iPad, and then I found like this. God, what's the name? Everplay? That's what it
Yeah,
was, right?
every
That's
play.
what.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
on your
yeah, yeah,
phone.
yeah. I figured out about that, and I just used it to just record the levels for my own personal sake. Really, it was just more for me to like have my own little look back at the harder levels that I did, and I was like, I saw like some YouTube videos, like of course Alex Payne. I discovered him was like Vibrant, that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what, I could also upload a few of these, and that's kind of how it began. That's where it all
Okay,
came from.
question. Do those still exist?
Was those
Those
original
those
recordings?
those like OG Knobbelboy recordings.
No, that iPad is long dead.
No, I mean
That
like you
iPad.
never uploaded them on like YouTube or anything?
Like well, it's honestly as simple as that. You go to my YouTube channel, you go to the first video. That's the first thing I ever uploaded.
No, you never unlisted anything. I
I don't think I ever did. I mean, obviously there are some things that are private and unlisted for legal reasons, uh, but other than that, I never really unlisted stuff.
I cannot say that I have not had that honor. I Yeah, no, you're one of few, my friend. You are one of few. Because oh my god, the shit that I made when I was like 15 or 16 years old needs to stay buried.
I mean, here's the thing. I did try YouTube before, with Minecraft content on a different channel. That is buried. You will never find it. No one will find it,
There we
and you
go.
shouldn't. But no, when it
The
comes to like actually the other GD content, everything that is there is there.
Okay, so when did you realize? Because like there's like a time frame when like you started to like when you were beating like pretty like really hard levels. Like when was the point that you realized like, geez, I'm really good. I can start beating like top tens or something like that. Like, wait, was it like when like 1.9 came out, or like when was that point when you're like, all right, I'm good now?
I think there are like two kind of turning points quite close together. And then obviously like a few more like it's an ever like there's like it's hard to say there was a definitive like specific turning point, and there was more stuff like over time you grow better and you are like, damn, wait, I can actually do something harder again and again. But the two major turning points, the first one was Theory of Skrillex by Nubus. I think it was Nubus. Yeah,
Yep.
Nubus made that one. Um, It was it, or did he make
No,
the other
it
one?
was him.
You know, and I'm confusing it with like the Rami making the other one.
Theory of
It's right.
Firepower. They look
Thank you.
very
Yeah, that
similar.
one. Some people forget that the Rami was a creator. Um, yeah, no, it was that level. That was the last and hardest level I beat on like the iPad before I went to playing on Steam. And I think that was like that one just took forever. I remember that taking really long. I think that was like the first one that took me like a couple thousand. It was like 6,000 or something on that one. And I remember being that and feeling like really satisfied with myself because that at the time that level was like pretty infamously hard. And the second level I would say that hit that mark was Windy Landscape, which I still think is one of my favorite levels as well. Still, so I know. I remember like I beat that, like that was like the first like level that I beat that was like considered like really hard in the community when at the time that I beat it. Like that was like when it was still like seen as an insane demon. It was in the time that like Alex Payne was still like calling stuff like hell demons because extreme demon wasn't even a coined term, right? That was like I think that was like the turning point when I was like, okay, I actually want to like get good at this game. Or like I felt like I was good enough to like actually give it a good shot to like try to make something out of this in terms of like going for higher level demons.
Okay, so that was like you beat Windy Landscape when you like got it on your computer, right?
Yes.
So was there a like because I've heard many stories from like people like Riot or something like on like podcasts or something where like they get a 144 hertz monitor and they're like this is it like or did you just like have it before you played GD or was there
No.
like or like so
Uh,
you started playing PC on 60 and then you just like
I
got
started
144.
on a shitty television that I used as a monitor. I played on 30 hertz.
Oh, oh no.
I actually played on really lows, but like the early days of GD, I had like that was just like I had nothing in terms of my own stuff like that. I just reused like stuff that was handed down to me from like my brothers and stuff, and that was just what I used. So I didn't even know it was exactly 30 years. It might have just been like 40 years old. It was a terrible piece of kit because I remember the jump from actually going to 60 hertz being like as big, if not as bigger for me than going to 144 eventually.
Well, speaking of when you did get to 144, I actually didn't know that your first like big accomplishment was Windy Landscape. I think that's newly found media, but you know, eventually you end up getting like really good at the game,
Mhm.
and you like start like knocking out the top demons. Like for your 100th, you ended up beating like the Hell Factory,
Mhm.
and so the first off, like there were like at that time there like were not that many extremes, but this one actually piqued my curiosity. Why the Hell Factory? Why not like Cataclysm or like ICDX or something like that?
Um, I think I went for the Hell Factory for a few reasons, but I think the main overarching ones is as at the time, the Hell Factory was like one of those levels very little people went. It was always indeed common to just go for Cataclysm or ICDX, and stuff like that. I remember it was kind of me following Creepy Dash. If people do like remember that, Creepy Dash is a very OG player. Um, Creepy Dash is also the reason I ended up picking up Windy Landscape as a fun fact. But I'm pretty sure I might just be confusing people. It's been such a long time, but I'm pretty sure he's the one that actually also like played Hell Factory for a bit, and that's why I started playing it. And a bit of a personal reason. Before I played GD, I played a lot of Toho, and the song alone was enough for me to get to my interest because of that. Um, which is like, like a lot of you'll probably see this as a trend if depending on how much you ask me about the levels I played. But I picked a lot of my levels based on song. I've always done that. Um, I've always done that.
Yeah, shout out to the
Um,
people who know that song not as the Yatagarasu song.
it is not the Yadagarasa song, and
All
it
my
will
homies
never
know
be
it as
that
the
to
Hell
me.
Factory song. No,
No, it's
I
a.
don't think a single soul knows it as the Hell Factory song.
But yeah, no, I just remember the Hell Factory just being more interesting. That as well, like the parts, and like it had that memory part halfway through that I really loved, and it just I always felt initially looking at Cataclysm and the Hell Factory. Hell Factory just looked more like a proper like crazy accomplishment to me than Cataclysm did.
Well, it's also much harder. It's
That
much harder
I
than
do not
Kato.
remember how much harder or difficulty, especially
Well,
with
that's
those
just
levels. I
like
do
I
not
mean,
remember.
it like back then there kind of wasn't like a like no people didn't really understand how hard things were. But people were just like, yeah, no, the Hell Factory, it's
Who
like
actually?
around the same, but people later found out like, yeah, no, it's like 50 like 75 spots harder than Cataclysm,
Who
and
was actually the
ICDX isn't even an
person?
extreme demon anymore.
Right, it was Powerbomb that
Yeah,
verified it. I
Powerbomb
remember.
verified it.
Yeah, it was the fact, like it was the combination of having seen Creepy Dash play it, I'm pretty sure, and watching the Powerbomb verification and it being like such a crazy event in the community. Because like I think the Hell Factor was like known way before its verification and seen as like this weird, impossible Korean level as well.
Yeah,
And
that was a thing where it's like
to,
levels
to
that
add
did
on
not
to
look
that, now
that
that I
hard were
say
just
that,
impossible.
to I don't know how to say that. The fact that it was a Korean level is also what piqued my interest with it, because while not actively playing it myself, I was definitely part of that like growing up. I watched like Kaizo Mario kind of stuff, right? Um, so to me, always like that idea of like some like Asian fan made level always seemed like they were of higher difficulty than what you know we would do like in like what like American levels and stuff like. And I don't want to be like this in any race thing at all. It's just back then when you saw like some crazy shit, it was usually like some like from Korea or something like that in gaming. And I feel like it still is to a certain degree with certain games. So it's just looking at that level and being like, oh shit, this is like the Korean difficult. This is like the Kaizo level of this game. I was like, that's why it piqued my interest a lot.
I mean, I don't even think I don't even think you have to explain yourself because there's no fucking way that you'd be wrong or that you'd be wrong and people thought that Red World would be fucking impossible. You know, other
Right,
than
that
it
as
was
well, yeah.
literally impossible, like it I still don't think it should be an extreme demon. Like the OG Red World, not talking about Red
I,
World Rebirth.
you know, I'll be honest, I'm never going back into the argument of extreme or insane demons. That I've had too many
But
long conversations about
that's
that, and it never turned out well.
yeah, but we'll believe me, we'll get to that kind of part because that wasn't you had more of a history with Team N2. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But so after you beat the Hell Factory, which I think it would be like top 5 or something like that. I don't really know the
could
timeline,
be.
like the list, but I would assume it's like top 5, top 10. Then you just go ahead and beat Bloodbath 2 months later, as I don't even know what, but that was the number one.
Yeah,
I would assume that you wouldn't like remember that, but like how like if you do like how did that like feel? Because like you know it's one thing to like go ahead and like work your way up, but like beating the hardest level, especially Bloodbath, which was so famous. I don't really know if that was when the time because I know there was like a time span where there's like 4 months or some crazy shit like that where nobody beat it. I don't know if the floodgates were already open or something like that, but did you feel some kind of like I made it or something like that when he beat it?
yes, yes, definitely. And I feel that Bloodbath, like Bloodbath as a whole, was just is just a milestone level, and I think it always holds that. And I think that any player that is going for that top still kind of has to pass through the gate of Bloodbath, um, even these days. Though I see a lot of them jumping past it, which is a whole different topic. Um, no, because I think if I remember correctly, I was the 10th person to beat Bloodbath, which that for me is like it was definitely the gates were open, the floodgates were open, people were beating Bloodbath. It was finally out of that like mythical like only Riot could do it kind of period. But it was still like very much like a special thing to do, like being the 10th person to beat a level like that. And for me, it did feel special because for me it made me feel like I was at that point at those like as those like Kaizo Mario players that I watched a lot as a kid. Like this actually like I'm doing this like peak of the game kind of crazy shit, and this is like what like was the level obviously, I do not remember it taking only 2 months. I thought that took way longer. I thought Bloodbath was quite a. From what I remember, I don't remember the Bloodbath journey that well as a whole. It was definitely like, because like I remember I got 144 hertz about near the end of beating the health vector. I think it was 70% the health vector. I got 144, and from that point I did notice this kind of stuff became way more achievable. I did not think that 144 hertz was the cheat code that people were saying it was, and I never thought that. But I did notice that it was important, and it made stuff like Bloodbath way more doable, I feel.
Okay, so this is just kind of like a quick intermission between, but this is something that I like desperately need to know is I'm watching the video of you being Bloodbath now. I think we've all thought this, but we've never really gotten the answer. How did you come up with your with your ship?
My ship. You mean like, what, did I use the custom ship already in
Yeah,
Bloodbath?
yeah, you already like have used like the custom ship. So, and like for a while, like, when you were verifying Bloodlust, that was like it was kind of like a fad to use that ship specifically. So, like where did it come
Yeah.
from?
God, back then when we made these kind of intros for videos as well.
Don't
um,
I wasn't gonna mention it, but like I was like looking over for material and being like, I'm using 144, so like don't be a bitch, and then a Lenny face like that. It's so
yeah, no,
funny,
that was like, I mean, that one was
so
honestly
funny.
specifically aimed at Serve. That specific message was specifically aimed at Serve. Um,
Really.
which I'll get on in a bit. I'll first answer the ship question. Um, before I forget it. It's very simple, honestly. I liked the ship because it's pretty obvious that it's based off like one of the base game ships, right? That's
Hmm.
like pretty easy
Yeah,
to
it's
see.
like the
I like
meta,
that
like
ship a
everybody
lot,
uses it.
but I was like, I want kind of my own thing in the game a little bit because this was the period where everyone was making their own texture packs and stuff like that. Everyone was adjusting their own stuff to have their own little spin on it. Um, it's very simple. If you just look at the wing of the ship, it is just my icon, but upside down. That's where it started, and from there I was like, okay, it would probably fit better if I round some of the edges and change the eye shape a little bit. So it's all kind of like based around that. That's why the ship looks like that. It was just I wanted my icon in the the ship like that, and then like it just adjusted the ship a little bit to make it look more fitting with it.
My mind just fucking exploded. I never saw that. I never saw the logo. Holy shit.
Yep, that's always what it
Oh
has
my
been.
god. Dude, I'm oh my god, I never noticed it. And now I can't unsee it.
Yeah, no, you
Fuck.
couldn't see it, yeah, you. I was hoping for that, and I hope that everyone who watches this has the same feeling now.
Oh my
But
god, no. Well, yes,
I
that's
mean,
awesome.
but yeah, no, there's. I don't even know why exactly, but I quickly got attached to the wing icon as well, so I wanted to use it on stuff a lot.
I mean, it's I guess it's I mean it's great. I mean I think it kind of like changes from the Bloodbath. I think you like kind of tweak it a little bit because there's like some like weird drop shadow tomfoolery going
Yeah,
on.
I moved the drop shadow stuff and that because I thought it looked
Yeah, I think
at the time that was cool because everyone
that
had
was
that
like
like
a one
little
thing in like 1.9. Everybody used like
had
bevel.
like embezzled stuff and stuff like that. It's like I very distinctly remember like this was also the time frame right where everyone had their own custom GD icons as profile pictures. And then we also got like through 1.94, we got like this arc where everyone started making them more detailed. And as someone who uses Photoshop a bit now, it just all these generic ass Photoshop tools and effects thrown onto it just to make it look more crazy and stuff like that. And then we all decided to like collectively stop with that. I think like early 2.0.
Yeah, that was I think it was like Sonics who like popularized that. Which by the way, fuck you for doing that because all of those were hideous. But
They were
and
hideous, but they were kind of a vibe.
They, yeah,
I can't
for
push
a
them away at
while,
all.
it was pretty cool, but I very quickly got sick of it.
It was cool until we started putting the effects, like the embezzling effect and the depth effect, on our actual icons in game. That's when we needed to stop. But
All right, so
also,
oh what?
I picked up the video myself real quick. It's really funny to look at it, but that's back when I was kind of like trying to figure out a sort of like brand, not really branded in, but like a little like online identity for my GD and stuff like that. So I noticed just how much I went on the fact that I was like a Dutch player because the icons are on it orange. That's why they are orange, by the way. Just so everyone knows, they are orange because of the Dutch national color. And back then I still had the actual Dutch flag as a trill, which thinking back is so stupid and cringy, but that is why it is the
Imagine if
way.
an American player did that. Holy, they would get flamed.
Yeah, no, that's just the fun part. It's just like that's what it was. And while I definitely like, I'm happy I removed all that like actual Dutch branding from it. I do still like the color orange, and it's something I intend to keep. Oh yeah, and maybe because you were interested in the whole surf thing with the 144 hertz thing, you can keep this or cut this out of the video. But the reason I was salty towards Serve is because Serve was one of the first people with Riot to get 144 hertz. Um, and then on my victory of the Hell Victory, I wonder if that comment is still there. Um, uh, Serve very specifically said, and I'm pretty sure I'm close to quoting this, like with 144 hertz, anyone could have done it. He was trying to downplay it so bad, which is just really funny to me. I remember that specifically, and that's why in the videos I've put a lot of like, yeah, I use 104 hertz now, deal with it, because there was definitely a time in the community where there was a fight over if it was a good thing or not.
So, I don't. Because, so it says that this video came out like May 2016.
Oh my
I.
god.
That was so long ago. It doesn't feel like that long. It feels like 2016 should be like 4 years ago, but still. And anyway. But,
Mario Galaxy
around,
6
like,
years
there's like a kind of like 4 month between period from you beating Bloodbath to picking up Bloodlust. So what I'm wondering is, I guess the next few questions are going to be like how you got it, because like I don't really think anybody really knows this. So like how did you first hear about like Bloodlust like as a level?
I mean, at that time, Manix was well known already. Manix was known for a lot of cool levels he made and a lot of cool projects he started. Um, so it wasn't that hard to initially come. And then Quasar as well was well known for being like the verifier of Blood, or not verifier, the first victor of Bloodbath. So it wasn't hard to notice Bloodlust really. Um, it was on like my note, like I noticed it a few times. Like I saw like, okay, yeah, makes sense. We're gonna do like this remake thing that we did with you, like that Neptune did with the original main levels. Makes sense that happens to Bloodbat and to Cataclysm. Like sure. And I was somewhat friends with Manix for a while. We watched each other's streams quite a bit. We just chatted so every now and then. I wasn't that well acquainted with Quasar, but with Manix I was. But honestly, Bloodlust kind of was just like something like, okay, this is something new we're going to be doing in the future as like the hard level, and I wasn't that interested in it. That was until the preview showed up that included the tunnel part at the end of the level, that like that the one that's after Zaro's part. That part was so cool to me that I was like, I want to play this level. If anything, I want to verify it. So I just dropped a message to Manix, and I said like, "Yo, if by any chance, right? Like I don't think it's gonna happen, but if by any chance Quasar does not want to do Bloodless anymore, hit me up. I'm interested." And he eventually did hit me up, because I don't remember the exact reason. I think it was hand pain, but Quasar did end up dropping it, and that's when I picked it up pretty much right after. I think the main one was like hand pain, but
Yeah, but I mean,
motivation might be a valid reason as well.
well, considering like how like fucking impossible Bloodlust was, like considering the hardest was Bloodbath, like the Bloodlust is like 300 spots higher than, or Bloodlust is like 300 spots higher on the list than Bloodbath. So like, talk about a fucking jump. But
It was a jump,
but that kind of helps transition me into my next question. So you said you kind of explained that for me, like how you got Bloodlust. What was like the moment where like you started playing it, where you realized like, oh shit, this is good. This is really fucking hard.
it's weird because I there was not a definitive moment of that, right? Because Bloodlust was just the next hard thing, and there was so little in between Bloodbat and Bloodlust to actually like identify it with. This was like a time period where difficulty seemed so weird, especially as this was a time where we started getting 144 hertz and people started rapidly improving at the game, and it was just like it was hard to gauge how difficult it actually was. The only thing I remembered very clearly at the beginning when I picked up Bloodlust is how unbalanced it was. There were parts like the original Michigan that Quasar had with like his iconic like super straight fly or whatever it was called, which were just absurd. And even in like this day and age in the game would still be considered really hard. But there were also just parts like the original Evasium that were just honestly might as well have been just original Bloodbath. So most of my time originally with the level was just balancing a lot of it. And that's why it also was hard to see how difficult it was. But I will say the moment that like I actually got like the real clear indication like this is gonna take a long damn time is when I first got like to Michigan in like an actual run from the start, and I was like, it took me so long to get past Michigan for the official one. And that's when like I started noticing like this level's hard.
Well, also like around this time, because like now it's kind of common practice for a level to take a really long time to get verified, just because of the nature of how like ungodly difficult these levels are. But before this, like the longest something took was like 4 months or something like that. Like
Mhm.
that was like that was when like the community was like it can't get any worse than like 30,000 attempts, and obviously not spoiling anything, but it took a little bit more than 30,000 attempts.
All
But
right,
like
let's done about that.
you said that was kind of like your like it was like hitting like a fucking brick wall or something like that, where you're like, damn, I'm gonna be here a while.
Yeah, there's just that was like the initial brick wall was Michigan. I think people also may remember if you watched my initial progress video, the first one where I got to Namtar, I said Evasium when I got to him in the most Dutch way possible out of panic because it was the first time actually passing Michigan, which was like quite a grind, and I had everyone in the call needed to keep their mouth shut. Which, by the way, by all my friends, is still something that I get memed on, which is funny. And that the way I
What
said
you
Evasium.
saying Evasium?
Yeah, yeah, the way I said his name, which it is fair. But the thing is, like with the attempts and the time where, like the time I had spent on Blocklist by then, still in my eyes seemed like the natural progression of things. Because I also practiced some part later on, and I was like, okay, I have a lot of attempts. I've spent quite some time on this, but I was expecting it to take more than like the max of like the 30k was, because this was the next step. This was the new beyond like the first thing to try and beat Bloodbath, and I wasn't as good as Riot. I knew that I wasn't Riot, so I knew it was gonna take longer. That being said, how long it did take, I was not ready for, and how much time it took, and how many attempts. And I think that the real hard brick wall that like really solidified for me, this is actually gonna be insane for me, is the time around Nycros and Etzer's part when I started reaching that. Though that was the biggest wall of the level. Besides, we'll talk about that last thing, but later. The infamous one.
Well, there's a lot of infamous parts that like there's a fucking lot to get to. That's only like what 50% of the goddamn
Yeah,
level.
45, I think, was
Yeah,
like
it's
the
like
one.
fucking 45. That's
Yeah,
actually crazy to me that you're not even halfway when you make it to fucking Etzer. That's
yeah, and it's
ridiculous to me. But and anyway, I guess kind of around this time period, like Athanatos gets verified, which like it
kind of
immediate
funny.
number one. Well, I think Sakup and Hell actually, yeah, Sakup and Hell came out first, which was like
Yeah, but Sukup
Sakup and
Hell was
Hell, and then Athanatos was like boom, like Athanatos, and then it was like way harder than Sakup and Hell. And given that I've beaten Sakup and Hell, I can say Athanatos is way harder than Sakup and Hell. But and this is kind of like a recurring thing when you're verifying this level, is that you kind of like take a break and then like go ahead and like beat something else. Is there like what's kind of like your well, like what was your approach to all of that? Because like this is like there's like three different times or something like that where it happens, where you take your foot off the gas of Bloodlust and then go and like do something else, or build redacted. There's
Mhm. Redacted. Well, yeah. So we'll start with Athanatos then. Obviously, Athanatos at the time when it came out, as I remember at least, there was still a debate on if it was actually harder or not than whatever was the hardest at the time. I think people were still comparing it to Bloodbath because most people in that time frame still shrugged off Sukup and Hell because it was confirmed to be a hack level, right? Everyone knew it was just like this was like trying to be the next Cataclysm kind of deal. So people shrugged it off at the time. Sakup and Hell pretty badly until Trusta finally actually verified it proper. So it was Athanatos and Bloodbath, and I originally thought Athanatos was hard, but not as hard as Bloodbath, which I was wrong about. But at the time, the fact that I probably because I played Bloodlust for so long, so my whole perception of difficulty in that time period was down the drain. I wanted to do Athanatos because I just was in at that point in time in the game. I was just among the top players, and I wanted to keep clear that I could still keep up with the levels at the time. And I think I was the second person to beat Athanatos right after Sonics. I think that was already the time where Sonics was like starting to really rise up. So it was mostly just a point of like, yeah, I know Bloodlust is taking forever, guys, but like, look, it's not that easy. I'm still like pretty okay at the game, and also, I had a YouTube channel that I was focusing on and caring more about. And if I did not make progress on Bloodlust, I had to upload something. So that was Athanatos mostly. Athanatos was less of me taking a break from Bloodlust and more just like wanting to like quickly like, okay, yeah, see, like I'm still doing my thing here. I'm still like I'm just here to showcase that I can still play this game at high level, even though I'm spending so much time on this singular level. Yeah, that's the main reason why I picked Thanatos. And when I beat it, I did say it was easier than Bloodbath, which the list shows that's not true.
Wrong. Like I'm sorry. Wrong.
Difficulty was different at the time.
I know, man. It's crazy. It's insane to me how like weird shit was, and like you look at the fucking list, and then you like what? How? And like you'll like see like fucking. I think it was there was a fucking level like I was looking at a pointer crate I was looking because I'm making a video about cyclic, and so I'm looking at like a like pointer crate from like 2017, and I'm seeing like, and when like Sonic Wave was #1, and I'm seeing like legacy list 137 legacy list, and like
Yeah.
like grossly underrated sometimes, and you wonder like what the fuck.
It's just, yeah. I mean, like again, I think it's just a byproduct of people just improving a lot during that time period in the game. Because Athanatos took me a week, a little more, just over a week, which is nothing compared to like 2 months that Bloodbath took me. So obviously, I thought it was easier. I just didn't realize how much I had improved at the game just by playing Bloodlust and the occasional random level that came out that I had interest in.
Right.
But yeah.
So I would say, or I would assume anyway, that there are like many like different phases regarding your relationship with Bloodlust, over your time of verifying it. And this is kind of the last question like this, and then we'll start moving on to like big progress. But was there kind of like this honeymoon phase kind of where like you were like, yeah, like I'm verifying the top one? Because obviously you were like, man, like I'm like really like, because obviously you're talking about hitting like a brick wall with like when you went to Michigan and then eventually Namtar. But like, was there kind of like this, yeah, like I'm gonna verify pretty like I'm doing this, and obviously that wears up. Like, was that kind of there like when you were starting?
There was never a real period in Bloodlust where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna march over this level. Because I saw the level, I saw that Quasar struggled with it, who was at the time better than me as well. And I was like, this is gonna be a project. I knew that immediately. But there was definitely like a honeymoon phase in the sense of like, I'm so happy to have this level. Like, especially like I said, like I asked Manix if I could do it just because I saw that tunnel part. So being able to play it and like get runs from that tunnel part to 100 was like some of the like, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've done in this game. This is like so cool. It's so difficult. It's so nice. And I had that throughout the whole practice period, right? Like when I just go to random parts, see if I could clear the parts, get past them, and go to the next thing of it. But the moment like progress started from like 0, it's kind of the initial moment the actual realization kicked in. Like doing any of this in one go is gonna be ass, because this was one of like the like, not just because it was hard, but plus it was one of the first levels of like actual real high difficulty to like hit that 3-minute mark. And at the time, myself and most of the community, if not the entire community, just had not really grasp the concept of how much extending a level by a minute alone already added to its difficulty, regardless of just buffing the gameplay.
So around the time that you beat Athanatos, you verify artificial ideology, which alone, like by itself, artificial ideology was in like hell when it comes to verifying a level, because I'm like 99% sure that like the level was being made for like Cyclic to eventually verify it, and then like it didn't even like wasn't even like finished decorating when he got exposed, and then it went through like three or like four different verifiers. But this one specifically, this is the one that I'm most fascinated by, because it's this like I don't really know what the vibe was like then, but it seems so random with artificial ideology and like Team N2 of all people. So like how did that even happen? Like what? And obviously, and when you verify it, like you end up becoming like an honorary member of the team or something like that. But like, what was all of that like? Because I'm fascinated by that.
I will be perfectly honest and say that I do not know the greatest details about this anymore, as it was indeed quite a while back. So I will not say if there is something that I say that is wrong. Someone in will probably at some point correct me. But from what I remember and how I remember it going, I think they wanted me to do the level because they just saw me as like a player of pretty high caliber, because they were looking for players of high caliber, because I think the person before me was Riot, who tried the level and gave up on it. But then I got the level. They asked me for it. I think I'm pretty sure. I don't remember approaching them for it myself, but I do remember being pretty quick in saying yes, because I was a fan of the Hell Factory, and I thought being able to verify this next N2 level, which at the time N2 was like the like creation team, like next to like Geostorm and stuff like that. Like it was such an exclusive like high end like creation team that made the like levels to be hyped for. So yeah, of course I said yes, and I wanted to do it. This is like, and this was like definitely more done out of like an impulse thing of like, and I probably a sense of egoism at the time that I had well like as a kid, that I was like, like I'm just gonna do this as well because this is a chance I'm getting, and I know I'm doing Bloodlust as well, but no one's gonna take Bloodlust from me, and I'm just gonna verify this level in between real quick. And so I did like verify it as well, and like yeah, it's like I don't remember the details of what happened after. It was just like I mostly talked with Repel. I didn't really like communicate with the rest of N2. It was mostly just Repel or Repel or whatever you pronounce that. I don't think I've ever heard that name being spoken. And we just like you just like we just talked about the progress every now and then, and I told him like, yo, can I change these things or those things because it's kind of annoying, or like I think this would be slightly more smooth, and like that's kind of the communication we had regarding the level. And then I ended up verifying it, and I was like, yeah, that was back then when they were like, oh, you're now an honorary member of N2, but this was also like the time where N2 kind of stopped being a thing, because I feel like a lot of members started just going away from the game and they were doing their own stuff and all that stuff. So yeah, I think like the moment I joined N2 was also like a bit of like when N2 started dissolving. So there's not really a lot that like I was part of there.
Yeah, if you remember, like when the team hacks thing happened,
It
and
was
like
the
when
hacks
this
thing, right?
and the
Yeah, yeah,
server
yeah.
got and like the servers got like carpet bombed and like forever fucked. Like it's unrecoverable, the damage that happened from that. And N2 got the very short end of that stick. And like
Right, I do
I
remember
think
that.
I honestly I really think I honestly think that even if that didn't happen, they were probably done anyway. But they were probably gonna like, because I remember there's like some like green level that they were
Yes,
that they were making,
Mystic
or
Spark,
yeah, there's
something
like
like that.
yeah, so something like that. They're like trying to, but honestly, I don't think that was ever gonna happen. But like that just kind of like speeded up them just saying like, you know what, fine, see ya, and that just I mean that does kind of suck that
Hmm.
that they that they left like that. But honestly, that must have been so fucking cool to be like, yeah, I am an honorary member of like Team N2, because like they were the shit. Like,
Yeah, no, I thought that was like honestly amazing, and like I said, like I instantly said yes to being asked to verify the level because like for me that was such an honor, and in hindsight, I'm happy I did it, but also I understand why people thought I was a dick for taking on this level while I was already doing Bloodlust, and there has been many stuff around Bloodlust in similar vein, and I honestly at this point in time I agree way more with what people said about me than what I said back to them.
yeah, no,
um.
yeah, that's kind of a another thing. Like you
Yeah.
and like the community, like there's a lot of things that happen. I guess kind of like
Yeah,
on the
and
later stages. That right now it's
I
like kind of like cranked up to like 30, but like it turns up to like 150 like later down the line. So
yeah, so I'll
we
wait
will
with all that
definitely
stuff
get to
till
that. Yeah.
until you get to that because I'm pretty like I am pretty confident about the specific event you're gonna be talking about, and then I'll mention everything.
Yeah, well,
I'd be
there's kind of
surprised
like
if that
I would
doesn't come
say
up.
there's kind of like it's like a two-parter, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
But so like you verify it, or at least you beat Athanatos in October of 2016. You verify artificial ideology in kind of like a similar time, and
Was it
but it
Christmas
takes
time?
you. I would say I don't have the date. I don't have the date on
I
me,
remember
but
doing it in the cold winter.
so like it takes from like October of 2016 all the way to March of 2017 for you to beat the bloodbath part. And like I like there's like this huge progress video like I beat the bloodbath part and then you like die immediately in the extension, but you still made it. And like that was like massive, like oh my god, I only have the extension left. But I don't
Mhm.
even think at that point you even like had the extension like in a full run yet. I think you did a little bit later, but like how did that feel? Like I like you did the bloodbath part. Like that must have felt really good.
Beating the bloodbath part was the moment I thought like, okay, we're finally nearing the conclusion of this. Boy, oh, do the dates tell me I was wrong about that. But no, that was the part. Like that was a real big like boost in motivation for the level. That was like I felt like I was in my head like just like it was like the idea of like even if that extension wasn't there, I just kind of beat the hardest thing there was. I was really hyped about that initially, and it was really cool because like it took so long to beat that part, and I like I admit I didn't practice the extension that much then by then, but like I was like, okay, now I can focus on this extension, get that out of the way, and then we should beat the whole level in a go. Beating the extension felt indeed quite similar to beating Blood, or not the extension, sorry, the base level felt quite similar to just beating Bloodbath. It had that same like energy to it because it's the same part of the song, it's the same part of the intensity, it's that similar jump at the end. So it's not really surprising that it like had that same vibe to it. It's just that initial satisfaction, or like that hype instantly gets like the oh shit, yeah, I still have like a minute of the level left that I haven't practiced at all. So this is not the end yet, but it was still a really good feeling initially, and I think that's yeah, I think that's when like it shifted for me to like being like, okay, this level is just really hard, and I'll see if I can beat this. To more like, okay, I'm just going to beat this. Like, regardless of what happens, I'm going to pull through. I'm not going to be dropping this verification.
Yeah, and I would so I guess we can just talk about it. So from March to June, you get past I don't know maybe like a little bit of the extension. I guess that's kind of this is kind of like the same like I mean it's a good ways apart, but it's still kind of similar. Like I would say you're like you made it like halfway into like the extension or something like that. Like you're still making like steady progress, but considering like I guess you kind of like this is like the last, like, I guess progress before the one that everybody knows about. Like, is there like anything you like remember about that?
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing like super special about that one. It was more just that like during that time, I obviously spent a lot of time practicing the extension, and doing it a lot of runs through it, quite a few. I think before actually like that 76 run, I probably did the extension in it as a whole like 8 or 9 times or something like that. So I did practice it a lot, but trying to get to the extension again did not go that. It wasn't that difficult. It was just I was really hard stuck on the initial Manix part because it was just an awkward part. It wasn't specifically super hard. It was just a little uncomfortable, and especially when you're in that state of being nervous, it's just a really easy part to mess up. So getting past it, finally, and then getting to Zara was like, okay, cool. We're now at a point again where I can see it moving again. The practice is paying off. We can now just continue like doing these runs and going through the level. But it wasn't really that special of a part of the progress, no.
And by like the original, you mean like the very start of the extension?
Yeah, Manix, that was to me that was Manix's part in level, because everything before that was just like made by other people, or it just was. I always remembered as original Bloodbath part. So like Manix's part to me was always that initial first part of the extension. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, as kind of like what like part of the I guess I guess we could kind of split this into two parts. You kind of answered the first one, but what would you say is like the hardest part of the bloodbath part, and what would you say is the hardest part of the extension? Like what gave you the most trouble?
Um, the hardest part of Bloodbath's part is honestly a very easy one for me, and it will always be Nitro's part. Um,
Which is
anyone
who's in bloodbath?
what?
Well, which would be who's in bloodbath? Is
Whose would it be in Bloodbath? I do not remember what it even like.
is it like Asonic?
A Sonic.
Was that
It's
like that's
just
like
before
after
Esther.
Namtar? Oh
Yeah, it's
that's
before
that would be
Esther.
him, yeah.
Um, it was specifically that small ship segment and I don't know how people call it these days, just the swing ball copter thing, whatever. I don't know if the term has changed for that, how people call it. Um, for the OGs out there, that thing used to be called chopper ball. But yeah, no, that specific part, that ship and that like flying ball part, that was why I got stuck on the most. That was the hardest part, and I still think that is the hardest part of the level as a whole. And as for the extension, it is probably Zaro. No, no, it would be. What would it be actually? That's a good one. Um, I think it'd be the part after the tunnel. That one was always a little rough, but that might just be sort of a nerve check thing more than anything. Zaro was probably the hardest one. Yeah, I know. I think Zaro was the hardest in like raw difficulty of just trying to clear the part. Zaro was really hard.
So actually, I didn't notice this, but so you make it to 76, which is Zaro, on June 6th, which will be yeah about June 6, 2017, and you have the chance to do the fluke of the century, which is basically fluke half of the extension. Obviously, that's not what happened. You died at 98%. In my opinion, that's like I mean that's not it's not a very unpopular opinion, but that's like one of the like fucking top three like worst deaths in like the history of the entire fucking game. Like I would say that like in my opinion, I'd only be behind like Mifui or like fucking Zanny a couple years ago. Obviously, like that would be like you were like going like you were feeling great, and then that happens, and then you like immediately feel like shit. Like that like would be like a huge whirlwind of emotions. Like walk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to say about 98? It's honestly, I 98 just became iconic to me as a whole. Because of that, it's because it defined such a long part of me. But what people often forget is the reason 98 was as painful as it was to me is because the fluke of the century, as you were talking about. Um, I had a really good stream that one time, and I died at 97. People often forget about like the fact that I died at 97. I messed up the initial first click of the ball hitting the orb, I think, and I just hit one of the top spikes, and I was just like, that was such a clear stress death. Death. That was just like, oh, I stressed out, I got nervous, I fucked up, and I felt annoyed about it, bad about it. I was like, okay, this is, but like, holy shit, we're there. This is the end. This is the final stretch. Like, this is like, next time we get there, we got this. Like, this is like, I just have to repeat what I did now and not be an idiot. That's all. And so I think it was half an hour later, if less, or around that time, and that's when I got to that part again. I got the nerves again because I was like, okay, I got my funny death. I didn't never expected to fluke. I got my funny death. Let's get this out of the way. Like I can do it now. And then obviously, 98 happened, and it was so painful because it was two times that close after each other. So yeah, I was just mad. I mean, the reaction got memed, and for a good reason. Like there was just a lot of energy and pain behind it. I mean, pain. It's a GD level, but you know what I mean. But yeah, no, there was just like a lot of behind that, and the thing is, like at that point time, it wasn't that painful. It was just like just more, just kind of anger at myself for making such a mistake twice in that short amount of time, but still thinking like, okay, I got there twice in the span of less than an hour. We'll just do it again, and that's just the point where it all kind of stopped, and I was just not getting there for the rest of the stream, and that's when like the weird. That's where I think like the pain started setting in, and that's also where like the arc, like the start of the 98% arc of the Bloodlust verification truly like kicked off, and it was weird. It's like people often think I started slacking on the level. I started like playing it less, which probably true to a degree, but it's not like I played the level that much less. I was still playing it pretty much daily, and like a thing that I've not really like said a lot, but like I also played the level stream, and like I played the level plenty on stream. But a thing that a lot of people forget about the 98 death is that it's far from the only one. I At the end of like before like finally like, which we'll get to the beating of the level, there were a total of 3 deaths at 98, 6 at 97, and I think another like 5 of them on TNM part. There were a lot of deaths at the end, and they were over the whole span of like this after that 98 fill. It wasn't just that one. There was a lot more to it. Yeah, as you said, there's not a lot that happened in between that much because I did like, because Bloodless progress was so long and took so much time, I took any like solid progress that was larger than like 8% or something, or like 5%. I took that as a chance to make another video because I wanted to keep people updated. Because I think like first passing the extension, I got like 67 or something like that, and then I got 68 soon after, and I was like, I'm not gonna make another video for that. Like, I remember getting like I remember getting 69 and being like, I'm going to pretend this did not happen because this was at the time frame in the community where everyone memes the shit out of this number, and still probably do to a degree. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait till I get 70 before I start like putting it in my stream title again, my actual real progress. But yeah, like there was like a lot of small increments, and I only like bothered uploading like the increments larger than 5-8%. So between 67 and 98, or it must have happened in the same stream, there was not a lot of progress that happened. It was just a kind of a thing that happened in one go.
All right, yeah, that I mean, to me that's crazy that you can like you basically beat the level twice in like fucking 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and it took you an unholy amount of time for you to get back there. No, that death was around June of 2017. Obviously, you are starting to I don't want to say plateau, but obviously, you're still getting, like you said, you get like a bunch of more 98, like a bunch of 97 deaths. You die at the end a lot, but still there's no more progress to be made unless you beat the level. Like there's no
Mm-hmm.
more progress videos. So at that point, like months go by and you have now been playing Bloodlust for a full calendar year, which at the time, like I said earlier, was like the longest people expected was like 4 months for a new artist to come out. Like what is happening like is completely uncharted territory. Now it's honestly pretty normal, like for people to take a really long time to beat a level. But at this point, like this has not even close to have happened before. So, obviously that would affect you, and being on, I don't want to say the wrong side of history, but you know what I mean, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like you are like literally like a full year, which is something in like the fucking 5 years of the game, has never happened before. And like you said, you're still playing the level, but it's getting it's getting hard for you. It's pretty obvious to tell from your streams that it's getting difficult for you. But around this point, Or if it isn't, let me know when that kind of is. Like when it stops becoming like cool, like, yeah, like I'm playing Bloodlust or like I'm getting close to beating it to the point where it's like becoming like a chore and like you like are just not having fun.
I mean, it was a bit after of course like the plateauing because like I was like after doing it for a year I was not unused to the fact that sometimes she just had a week or so or more where you're like okay she's just not going well, I'm getting bad attempts and blah blah blah, I'm just not making progress, it always happens. And so I was just living through that. I was like it's fine, but then it like started getting to like the point where it was taking well over a month and I was still just not beating it, and that was definitely that point where it's like getting a little exhausting. I think there's a point as well where I said, which I've been quoted on before, and I think probably in this like a C video or something like that, where I said like it's no longer fun, it's a chore to me. That's true. It reached a point where I was like, I'm just doing this because, but it's not completely fair because it was something like at the end of the day, it was self-imposed completely to 100%. Because I could have just nerfed the level, I could have just changed stuff, but at the time specifically, and probably even now, it was just a sense of like a bit of like I think a combination of pride and sunk cost fallacy. The fact that if I nerfed it now would be the same to me as giving up, so that's why I didn't, and I never wanted to. But it was clear it was just taking long and it was taking forever. I was not getting the runs, and it's so hard to explain it because I was still playing the level a lot, and it was hard for me to like see why it wasn't working out. It was like a mental roadblock of some kind because I was still getting four. I was passing the like the or like the main part. I was getting to the extension plenty of times. I think before I beat the level, I've well over 70 passes of the main Bloodlust part, or yeah, the main Bloodlust part. Like I've done that so many times and I still just didn't beat it. And it was getting weird for me as well. And of course, like community pressure started building up because people were like saying like, oh, he's just slacking off and blah 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 and this like that. And I get that from another point of view, it definitely would have looked like that. But from my point of view, it wasn't that exactly. But it was just, I mean, and of course, a thing that happened is like this is around the time where school was getting more difficult, so that was also just something I had to focus on a lot more. So I was playing, in the sense, I was playing the level less in my free time, like outside of streaming. That much was true, but I still streamed it like practically like every other day, if not every day. And it was just like everyone could see that I was still trying. It was just not working out, which was weird. Which eventually led to like this fear, and this was like where it like reached like the peak of it being stressful. Is that people started calling me out for farming the level, milking it, trying to get as much out of it as possible. Which, again, like I said, I can't truly blame them for thinking that the way it looked from the outside. But from the inside, it was just this weird mental block I could not get over. It's so hard to to do it like that. It was just hard to like explain in that sense. It's just like, yeah, I'm still trying my best. It's just not working out, and I think that's also part just because of just how ridiculous the level initially was to begin with, in terms of like a jump for me as well. I think it's very easy to say for me now looking back as well as like taking on Bloodlist was definitely like biting off more than I could chew, 100%, and that's in hindsight very clear.
I really haven't mentioned it at all because I've kind of been waiting till this point because at this point this is like the all time low. I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious because we haven't really heard anything about this, like this kind of side, but during this whole time, were you like in communication with like Manix at all? Like was there like anything going on? Because, at a very similar time, like you said, Manix was a very high profile creator and he had many other like extremely difficult levels, most notably Blade of Justice, which for those who are not familiar, Blade of Justice was a level that was, I'm gonna be honest, borderline impossible, especially for the time. Like nobody would be able to beat that level, and that was proven to be true. Like everybody and their mother tried to play that level and they couldn't, So Manix basically ordered it to be like completely butchered. And by butchered, I mean it was about bloodbath difficulty. It was still like top 20 or something like that, but it was extremely disappointing. But there it was a massive controversy, and this is like the almost like a similar time period, maybe a little bit earlier, a little bit later. I'm curious as to what your relationship with Manix was like. I would say from the start up to this point.
I mean, like I initially said about like getting the level, Manix and I were just on good terms. As like I wouldn't say we were like crazy good friends in any way, but we were just like chill with each other. We'd go to each other's streams, we chat with each other. Now we just make stupid jokes, especially from the creation point of view. Like I often came into this creating stream and just we talked about the levels and like that we were making and goofy stuff like that. Manix and I were, I'd say, friends, but like not like we were always talking to each other. We were definitely just friends. And like I saw that like Manix just was enjoying making these really hard levels. He really just enjoyed doing that. But he saw that after a while, like they also needed to like get out, right? They just needed to be out of the door, and he was tired of like, especially the levels that like went from host to host or from fair fire to fair fire and stuff like that. I think it's very clear, especially with Fusion Z, which it's another entire topic with my relation to that level that I don't think we should. We should go into for this specific thing, but there's definitely a lot I did wrong there, and we all just handled that level stupidly, I think. But as it went with Bloodlust, I talked with Manix a lot about the progress, but he was quite hands off from what I remember. I showed him obviously my progress every now and then and be like, yo, let's awesome, let's go and stuff like that, and he was excited for it. And he was just more and more respecting the fact that I was one of the few fair fires he got for his crazy projects that didn't like drop the level after a few months, because that was just a lot that was happening to Blade of Justice and Fusion Z and stuff like that. But there was just a point, like especially like with the 98 stuff as well, like where it's like I had points of slowdown, right? Like it was taking longer and longer, and of course Manix would every now and then like, "Are you still working on it?" And like, yeah, I'm still playing the level." But there was like a point, I think it was around the time I reached the extension or the 76% part, and Manix just kind of told me like, it's like I told him like, yeah, sorry for taking so long, and like this is just taking forever. This level's way harder than I thought. And he was just kind of like, yeah, but you're just gonna do it. Like he was like he had faith in me, just like not giving up on it anymore because of we both knew there was like the sunk cost fallacy in it and like all that stuff, and like there's just like you're just gonna be verifying this, like I've faith in that, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it taking a long time and stuff like that. But like he did tell me like you should nerf it. He did want me to nerf it to get it out faster, and I was like no, because that would like for me more than for you would be like giving up. And he was like as far as I remember, a bit annoyed about that, but he also just said like, okay, well, it's your hell to deal with, so go ahead. But he did just eventually, like, in a sense, he just kind of passed the level to me in the sense of like, just make sure that it gets out. It's on you. I'm kind of done with all these like crazy, hard, long projects that are just not coming out. And that was just kind of how Bloodlust went. Like people often said in the community that like, oh, he's taking too long. Like, and Manix really never found that too much of an issue. He was like, yeah, it's a hard level. You should probably nerf it to get it out, but like honestly, just get it out in your way, and you'll get it out. So just do it. And that's just kind of how he watched through the progress mostly. From 98% onwards, he definitely showed up the streams less because that was just also the time he started just engaging with the community less, and he just let go of these things a lot.
Obviously, we go from rock bottom, and it sinks a little bit further, but when it does sink a little bit further, that would be obviously the Crazen situation. And this is obviously
There it is.
this is the yep. This is the by a mile, this is the muddiest part of the entire thing, and it's also probably the least documented. There were so many moving parts that were happening like at the same time. Well, I'll let you I'll let you kind of explain it, but what I want to know is, and we can tackle this in multiple parts if you like, because there's a lot to cover here in such a short time period. But what was like your initial reaction?
I mean, let me just like start this by saying one last thing about the last thing is that I do want to say like Manix was a great host during all of this, and he also helped me with the whole Crazen stuff like that. Manix was great to work with that, but there was a point where Manix just released the level, like and like he just like put up all his projects online for a reason. I don't know if that was a hacking case or something he did himself, but that is how I think like the level got leaked and went out to the different ways, which to me at the time I was like, bro, what the hell is happening? But also like I didn't really care because it was a point in time where the community had grown to a point where they would be able to see like, okay, there's just a rifle verifier to a level, and the rest is just like a bunch of crazy shenanigans happening. Crazen was just weirdly toxic about the whole situation to me, and he just got the level and he started playing it. And I was already like kind of against this whole idea of people playing levels that weren't out yet because it's just like we all didn't get to play. Maybe it was just me being old fashioned, but we all didn't get to play Bloodbath till we were waiting for that shit to come out so we could play. We were waiting with anticipation for Bloodbath. We were waiting with anticipation for all these other levels, for Athanatos, for all this stuff. And to me, the idea that someone could pre-practice a level before it was out just felt kind of weird. So that's like why my like there was an initial like kind of reaction to it, but not like anything more beyond that. Like this is kind of annoying that people are just playing this level already because it kind of takes away from this type release that's I've been working towards for a year now. Manix has been working towards a year plus the initial creation time of the level, and everyone else who was involved with it. That was just the main issue I had with it. But then like as it says, like he made fast progress, which people started using as weapons against me in a sense that like, oh, look at you being like so slow, slacking off. You could much rather give it to this person way faster. And it's just all I could think in back of my head, like, yeah, I mean, of course he's much faster as the game has progressed by a year. There are so many harder levels out now and so much more practice that people could have had. If I waited a year before picking up Bloodlust, I probably would be in a similar spot. It's just I didn't. And it was just the main issue was just this like the lack of respect both he showed towards me and I to a degree showed towards him. There was definitely an initial part where I was just not showing much respect either. And I think that's just something that is just pretty clear and if to people who were there for the situation. But it was just a terrible situation from everyone's point of view towards everyone else. And it's just that Crazen started like just not accepting that. Like I was like, man, I'm just trying my best. Can you just not be like this, not be like this act about it? And initially, because I did try to mostly keep it like between us and often like sometimes make a comment about it on Twitter or on YouTube or stuff like that when people were really getting annoying about it. But mostly I tried to just tell creators like, just stop with this, man. But there was a point, and I don't even remember what it was, but there was just a point where I was like, I'm so tired of this whole situation. This level's stressful enough as it is. I don't want people breathing down my neck about someone else doing it and all this stuff and all this like time limit that's suddenly on it. Because this is when the whole like conversation dropped about taking too long. And while yes, I took really long on the level, and arguably I can see taking too long as a thing, right? But to me, there was like, as long as Manix gave me the clear, and everyone else in the creation team, the people who owned the level, gave me the clear, just take your time, verify the level, just be consistent with your amount of time you're spending on it, then there was no too long to me. And I always stood by that point, and I still stand by that point. As long as a creator of a level gives the verifier the freedom to take as long as they need to, there is no taking too long in verification. But it was just that being constantly said, and I like that was the main argument Crazen used, and the Crazen side of the community used against me is just taking too long. And it's just it eventually like it came to a point where I like tweeted something about it or like made something public about it, and it's like it kind of caused the backlash for Crazen to become a lot, which is where I think it was not a respectful response from me. That's why I think like the lack of respect for me came to a degree, but I don't even know the details of anything. It's been too long. But that was the point where Crazen was willing to make the agreement to just like stop playing the level, just leave it be. He'll practice it maybe a bit off like stream for himself. He won't beat it. He'll just keep the level, and he just told me just get it over with. Just beat the level already. And I was like, I'm trying, but I will beat the level. And that's kind of where it's like that was kind of like the end note of it. And it's like the moment Crazen himself said like, okay, I won't play the level anymore. I won't like try to beat it anymore. That's kind of when the whole like situation cooled down finally, and it all turns off. And yeah, that's where like it headed to. And that was just for me. There was just a lot of pressure that actually like got rid of it. It was just a lot of pressure gone, and it just made the like streaming it already a lot better. And there was of course still the straggling group that was still like of the exact same opinion that Crazen was of, and everyone else who supported Crazen in that drama. But like it wasn't as nearly as big of an issue because people just accepted it at that point. It was just a clear point at some point. I don't know, remember how or why it exactly happened, but people just sobered up about the situation, and it was just like, okay, just like we will beat this, just get it out, and it's fine. We'll verify the level. We're not gonna try to beat it before you, and that kind of stuff. I mean, what the interesting part is about Crazen is that Crazen is the only like real like one that blew up into this crazy thing. Because Crazen is not the only person I had the situation like this with. It's just a lot of them were handled more behind the scenes because I like, this kind of stuff should be kept behind the scenes. But like, I've had very similar situations during the Bloodlust verification with people like I mean, I don't need to drop names, but there were other people and some people that if I were to drop their names, people would remember because there were just a bunch of people that were just in that time frame like I want to also play this level like right now, and they were willing to take it. But a lot of them were just with a quick chat were just like, you know what, okay, fine, we'll wait till it's out. But Crazen was one of the few ones that really made it a public thing. It's interesting that it just exploded as it did.
I could explain it, but I honestly want I want you to. I want you to kind of tell me like what was like the immediate after effects of that, because after the Crazen drama, things changed and they changed fast. So I guess it'd be better if you explain it rather than me.
Yes, but I'll be honest and say it was probably more of a coincidence kind of thing. Yeah, there was just definitely a part where it went down, like my ability to just grind the level every day and multiple hours and all that kind of stuff. But I think somewhere around the time of the Crazen drama, it went up a little bit. It's just I couldn't focus on it as much as there was so much pressure and stuff around it. But that was just a point in somewhere around that whole Crazy down. I was like, okay, I just want to get this out myself as well, right? Like it's just like as annoyed and angry as I was in the situation, there was a part of me that was like, yeah, okay, fair. Like I need to get this done with, but it's like it's not like I'm not trying, but yeah, I need to just put everything behind it to get it done. It's just like during the whole Crazen situation, obviously there were other things as well, and it's just like, oh, this is such a mess and blah blah. And then when Crazen was over and everything was behind, I was like, okay, I already had this like realization of like I just need to get this done, and I was like, okay, Crazen is over now. I want to get this done before it happens again, before something similar pops up, before it like we go into another slump and we get this in repeat. It's been nigh half a year since this 98%. Just I just want it done, and it was less about being actually more motivated and more just being so done with it that I was like, now I'm just gonna give it my all. It worked to a degree, like it started going better. I started getting better runs again. It was just maybe like a little bit of a personal thing as well, is that the time frame of like where it all happened was like the start of like the autumn and kind of season of stuff. Like that's when the crazy stuff happened, was like around the autumn time and stuff like that, which I always have and still do. Just I handle the end of summer badly, decrease of sunlight and all that kind of stuff. Like I just have that kind of like issues with that. Like I don't know. They're the official terms for like people who like during the winter months like go downhill a bit in motivation and general energy and stuff like that. And I have that pretty badly. So it was after that as well that like okay, I was finally accustomed again to this whole like winter season, and like school went better as well at that time. And I was like, okay, I'm here again. I can do this, so I will. And that's more. It is honestly, yeah. That's why I said it was a bit of a coincidence, because it was both just the situation being over and the situation pushing me to finally realize, like, okay, yeah, let's get this done. Like, there's no point in being sappy about it or whatever. Just get it done. It needs to be done. It's been too long for myself, and the combination of the fact that it was also just I was getting accustomed again to just the actual like lack of sunlight and the cold and stuff like that, which is the thing that just affects me a lot. But
Right.
it's just a funny thing.
So I don't have anything listed down, but I guess between these. But is there anything that like happened in between the Crazen situation and you eventually beating the level that like kind of sticks out to you?
Not really. It's just that I started playing the level like as near full time again, and I was doing it a lot of stream. And there weren't any like significant moments in between that really. It was just
Or like no big hitting deaths or anything?
I mean, obviously there were a few more. I've had a lot of team end deaths, I've already told you, and a lot of them were during that time period as well, but they were just part of the acceptance at that point. And
You were just like, all
it
right,
was,
from the top.
yeah, it was just more of a like, fuck, okay, we're doing it. It's like, it is honestly, a very like funny thing about that kind of stuff is like around that time period specifically, I was getting infinitely more frustrated at dying at like Vermilion or WoWTO or anything that than dying in the extension. Dying in the extension, like, all right, shit, this is annoying. We go again, but like dying at like Vermilion like 3 times in a row would put me in such a bad mood. It's it was honestly getting to that degree that like the further I died in the level, the less I cared.
Honestly, that's fascinating. I mean, that could be like a geometry dash psychology thing, because like you said, when you die at the end so often, it's like you become numb to it, and then you just get mad when you're not, getting to the end.
I mean,
But
that's
yeah,
I think that goes beyond GD as well. I mean, I won't go over the whole topic as well, but like I do other like I've like even though I've not played a lot of hard GD levels in the recent few years, there are other games I've picked my challenge up from, and there is definitely a point in getting better at these kind of things where there just starts to be a point where you get way more frustrating at early, less time consuming failures than getting frustrated at the ones that are way further ahead but like take longer to get to. And yeah, it's that's just, I mean, maybe that's just something that's for me, but it's something I have with anything really. I always get way more annoyed when I start messing up the beginning of something frequently rather than the part I'm actually trying to get good at.
right. So we've basically covered everything, but so February 2018, obviously like it happens. You verify the level, and it's massive moment. Like everything, like the community, like basically like rejoiced like Jesus just came back, or like the community was like extremely happy. Obviously you were extremely happy. It was this huge moment over well over a year and over 100,000 attempts, which was completely unheard of. I think I am not sure about this, but you may have doubled the record for most attempts taken on a level.
Mhm.
I want you to take me through like that day, cuz obviously it's very well documented, that moment. But do you really remember like that stream or that recording where it happened? Like were you like getting good runs? Like did you feel like this was like man, like I'm on a good day, or like I'm getting some good runs? Do you remember like any of that really?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There was just one part that I'll always be sad about, and that's the fact that it wasn't live. It was one of those days where it was one of those days I never planned to stream to begin with, but I was indeed on the grind of always playing the level every day, at least a little bit. So it honestly was just my like assigned hour of just, okay, I'm just gonna play the level. And there was also the point where was, I might not be a big surprise, but I was really tired of the song of the level. So it was also the point where I started just playing my own music a lot while playing the level. And I distinctly remember that day that I was just playing like bad. Like there were no extension attempts at all. It was mostly like Michigan, Nicro, and Nicro, bit of Etzer, but then Nicro again. Um, just a whole bunch of that for about like half an hour. And I was honestly thinking to myself, like, okay, today is just like one of those kind of days. I'll keep going for the remaining half hour, but I'll probably quit. And I mean, funny for me, it's just, and why to me, it was a really interesting moment. And I think I still have the raw recording where you can hear it. One of my favorite games still, and especially at the time, was the pretty recently released Xenoblade 2. And I was specifically listening to that soundtrack that day. And I remember that it was mostly that just randomly out of nowhere, it was just a terrible day with attempts. And as the final boss theme of that game was playing, I had like one or two bad attempts, and then it just happened. I cleared it, that attempt. I remember that so distinctly because it was just like a double kind of moment for me in that sense. But it was weird because like a thing that was with Bloodlust and a level that was that hard and so time consuming and so weird is that, I mean, we've all seen like the other like GD players who have like their heartbeat monitors and stuff like that. Like it's getting that far in a level that takes you that much time. It just raises the stress. It raises anxiety. It raises like just the heartbeat and everything like that. So I very distinctly remember that whenever I would get the TMN part, I would barely hear anything anymore at that point, and it would always be a little hazy, especially like the first few times, but even then later on as well. And I just remember always being so afraid of that triple spike I put at the end. My own choice. I still don't know
Oh, you
why.
did that? I thought that was a part of
That's
the game.
mine.
That's evil.
Yeah. I'll mention something funny about it in a bit. But yeah, I just remember like hitting that like specific jump. It actually like landing and seeing I didn't die from it, and it was genuinely just like the most like it took like a time to realize that like I had to like double check in my head if it wasn't just a run from 65 or something. But then I like as I went back in my head within that like a fraction of a second time frame, I was like, wait, that was a full attempt. That was the whole level. It is done. And then, the reaction came from it, like me honestly annihilating the desk that, fun fact, I still use to this day. So Trooper.
The Bloodlust desk,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
still here, man. But yeah, no, that initial like, yeah, it's just that reaction and like everything it just all came at once, and yeah, it's just I remember just like actually being a bit like overwhelmed, like both from like an emotional point of view, but also definitely from a physical point of view because it was actually like rather than like the stress like releasing itself in a failed attempt like I was used to, it was suddenly followed by this huge amount of excitement and like disbelief and just being like, wait a minute, I need to like chill out, otherwise I'm actually gonna hurt myself in a way. But yeah, it was definitely just like it was like a weird moment that like even looking back, it's just like it should not have been that day, and I'm to a degree I'm kind of sad that it was, but it was the day because I would have loved to have streamed it and live like had that event like Riot did with Bloodbath, but even then, at that moment, I could not care less. I was just so happy it was over.
So, talk to me about how, like, the rest of that day went, really, because you are, like, on cloud nine. Because, obviously, in the video, we all get to see the, first, like, 5 seconds of, like, your initial reaction, but, the rest of it, it's either you mute yourself or it's cut out. I want to know what like happens after that and what the rest of the day was like because that had to have been a wild day for you.
I mean, there wasn't that much of the day left. It was late at night, but no, when I beat it, and the reason you don't hear a lot of the reaction is because I just left my room. There was just so much energy and all that stuff. Like I could not just. It was like that kind of feeling where you just can't stay still. I just had to like go. So I just left my room and I just had to process it a bit from different points in my own house and even like just in like just outside as well. I was like, damn, bro, what the fuck?
You
Um,
left your house.
I mean, it just went into my backyard.
Oh, okay. I was about to say like you just like out like taking like a victory walk. That's
No, I just went
hilarious.
to like I needed to catch a breath honestly because I was like I mean, you can hear it for a second in direction like I was needing for air. But yeah, so no, it was just mostly just like okay, me taking a break. I got like some water for myself or something like that. But eventually, like when I felt cooled down again, I like came back. I was like, I looked at like the victory skin. I was like, God damn. And then I of course I took the screenshot, right? The screenshot of like the clear and everything, and I sent it to a few of my friends, like in like a friend group. Was like I was just like the classic like guys in caps, and or like all of them were like no shot you did it, like or it's okay like 98 again or some shit like that, and it's like and I just sent the screenshot and like everyone lost it, and I was like don't send it in the server yet, don't send it in like my Discord server yet. I want to be the one to do that in a bit, and it was just like that like moment after a while. Like I think I don't remember the exact order of thing if I actually uploaded the level already or not, but I do eventually like remember tagging my server with the screenshot victory and little of anything else, and like the DMs and like the server itself just exploding. Like there was so much like energy around that, and it was so much fun and so cool. It was actually like damn really like satisfying. And then like the next like few hours were just spent just like getting into a bunch of calls with people and like releasing the level, getting the ID out and everything, and just all that shenanigans and stupid like stuff like that. And before I knew it was like 3 a.m. and I ended up like I don't even know that I think I did end up making that video because Hussy made Red Hussy made or Hussy, or I don't even remember how you pronounce his name in English. Um he like made the intro for that video way beforehand, and yeah, we just uploaded that video, and I remember going to bed. I was like honestly sleeping pretty damn fast. I don't remember it took me that long to fall asleep. And the fun part is I woke up and it was this whole drama that happened in the 5 hours between like me going to bed and me waking up, like because there was like one point in the video where it looks like I go through one of the spikes at the end of Nemthor, and it looks like I definitely get killed by it, and everyone's like, oh my god, he like no clipped it. No, he actually like no clipped it. And like while it happened, everyone UC and like everyone else like from my Discord mods were like dissecting the actual footage and being like, no, he just moved down the actual spike hitboxes but forgot to move the black spike visual as well. So that's why it looks like he went inside. It was fine, and this was all like this huge drama that like went up and was solved in like the time that I was asleep. So I just woke up to these giant DMs of people like saying shit like that. And it's like, what? Wait, what happened? It was actually a really weird like waking up moment, and it was also, but like it was already solved by the time I woke up, and it was just like, all right, it's fine. And it was other than that, it was yeah, Bloodlust actually having it out was such a good time, and it was just a bunch of like just yeah, it was just a celebration for me and people around it. So yeah, that's really how it like all went for me, and I remember distinctly as well that like a fun little fact, and I don't know how many people actually do know this, especially nowadays with the mega hacks and stuff. But the password for Bloodlust is actually the attempt count that I took, and I very remember telling myself the moment I hit 100k, I was like, you know what, that's 6 digits. That will be the password, regardless of what it is, which is what I did. I'm doing.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So, you're talking like you had basically an hour of like bloodlust time. You're talking about the day that you beat it. Like, you've mentioned so many times like it felt like work, which in a sense, at that point, after like a year of playing it, it was work. You're just back at the grind again, and honestly, I wouldn't blame you if it felt like sometimes you like just would never see a finish line. I'm curious about what it was like immediately after beating it, in the sense that like you're done. You don't have to play it anymore. Like you are done. You did it.
It's weird because it almost seems like the predictable answer would be like, oh, it's like there's a hole that has been left by Bloodlust being gone, but it was not that. It was instantly that feeling of like it was genuinely just that thought of like, I can't believe it's over, but oh my god, it is. And there's so like there's like like I can do like the other things now that I had planned. I can like work on redacted slash astral divinity, I can I can I can play the other cool levels that have been coming out. I can like go do artificial ascent. I can just not play GD. I can just it's just like it was not like I wouldn't say like the level shackled me because that's what I almost make it sound like because that definitely wasn't the case. It was more of just like it's like thank God I just don't have to think about it anymore. Because after spending like so much time with a level and something you want so much, I don't think it's uncommon for people to start thinking about like what would it be like to actually have it done. So there were very like often moments where I'd be like, I don't know, on my trip like on my bike to school or somewhere else or just walking somewhere just thinking in my head like okay how would it play out if I were to beat it like what would happen around it and stuff like that. It's just like you it's I hope I'm not the only like person that does that because otherwise I might be a little crazy. But like there were just many times where just like I tried to play out the scenario of it happening in my head and how it would go. And so in a weird way I was slightly prepared for it, but also like completely not because it still like completely was different than anything. It was different actually having it happen than just imagining it to yourself. And um it was just yeah, it was definitely just a moment of like holy shit, I don't have to play this level tomorrow or after that. Because especially at the end, there was just a point where I was like, okay, I just want to get this level out. I'm gonna try to stream it as much as I have the energy to stream, but even if I don't have the energy to stream, I'm at least gonna play it for a little bit, just to say to myself, I've done my time with this, I've done my best, and I'm not like falling back into this slump. But then like that realization, like I don't have to play this level anymore. That was just amazing. And if you look at my GD account, I think the highest percent I actually have on the level right now is 22%. So you can be pretty sure I really barely touched the level ever again after beating it. Which I highly doubt is a surprise.
After Bloodlust, and this doesn't have to be immediately after Bloodlust, but was there any thought of going for something else, like kind of in like a similar vein to Bloodlust, or were you just like done?
I mean, obviously, the obvious answer here is Orochi, isn't it? I was mostly just thinking at the time of beating Bloodlust that I just wanted to do demons that were high on the list. I just wanted to like keep myself up with the pace of the game for a while, until I was done with the game or still not something else coming. But I was like, if there's a cool verification project, I want to do that. But it was mostly just like I wanted to just keep up with these new challenges, like this artificial ascent that came out, or like Plasma Pulse Finale and stuff that kind of stuff. But there was definitely like throughout the progress of Bloodlust, I was already interested in Orochi and actually verifying Orochi as well. And honestly, Orochi was such a different beast, and I knew that already. Like Orochi is like on its own in that sense. Even the Bloodlust when it was being made, and there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh yeah, I have faith in you beating Bloodlust. I do not have faith in you beating Orochi." And I was like, I was just dead honest, like honestly, same, bro. But we'll see how it goes. But by the time I beat Bloodlust, I was definitely like, this is the last time I'm spending this long on a level. I'm not doing this exact thing again. I would love to try something harder, but I hope that I'm skilled enough for it now to do something harder in a decent amount of time. And I told myself that if I were to try something harder and it would take me the same amount of energy, I'd just stop. That's why I, for example, like I tried Zodiac. Yeah, I want to say that right. I tried that and I got pretty far in the level, or as more like I got good runs on the level, and I got like a few good attempts, and I was like, damn, this level is also gonna take me an absurd amount of time. I'm just, not now. Maybe in the future with another level, but I'm just not gonna do this because like I need, I need to just do something like creating for a while or whatever. But yeah, no, like when Bloodlust, while I was like in the nearing end of Bloodlust, I was in a way like, oh, I wouldn't mind like going for something really hard again. But actually having cleared Bloodlust, I was just like, yeah, not yet. Maybe, but definitely not in the next 6 months.
Kind of like you've done your time.
Yeah, for now at least was the thought. Like for now, I can definitely just sit back and enjoy this.
That's kind of it for the Bloodlust questions. Now it's just kind of like I guess just wrapping stuff up. So you did kind of mention Orochi, right? Am I saying it right? Because it's either Orochi or Orochi. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter.
I think
But
it's Orochi,
well,
but
since
I won't
given
call
that
them
you're
that
the
because I don't know the
creator,
Japanese pronunciation.
given that you're the creator, I'm gonna take your word for it. But
I mean, don't take my word for it. Look up the official pronunciation. It is just a Japanese mythology word. So
all right. Well, so I don't want to say that Orochi has had a rough development, but it's
then I'll say it
also
for you.
all right. Well, because I'm gonna be honest with you. When like during my time looking into, I guess the known story of this, all the other stuff was kind of like an afterthought. I'm not that much in the know when it comes to the development of the level, but I am curious because you are still posting previews of it, and last time I heard, you still want to verify it one day. Am I wrong in saying that?
I want to give a shot at Orochi and see how it goes, but I'll be pretty sober and say that I'm probably not going to be the person to verify it if I want it to be the difficulty I tend it to be. I will say this right now, so in the case this pops up in the video at all. I already have a verifier in mind for it. I will not say who it is or anything, but just so people don't start DMing me about it, there's no point in asking to be the verifier for Orochi right now. I'm just gonna say no for now. But the thing is, Orochi has been a mess of a project all the way through, both from just sometimes a little lack of motivation, but also just unfortunate situations as well. The main guy working on this, who was working with Sephiroth, and he just had a bad year for him, which is why it slowed down. There was G as well, but like he just kind of did not really finish his work ever. So I just kind of was like, okay, man, this is taking too long. I'm getting other people, and then it just kind of, university came into the picture and all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of took a big back burner kind of idea for both of us. But then we like realized like, okay, something needs to happen. So some other people have come on board, but I'm trying to keep the amount of people on Orochi on a minimum because I don't want it to be a mega collab. Because there's a specific vision we have for the level, and we just want to carry that with as least people as possible, but still try to find like the highest talent people as well. But it's just people are busy, and as is with any GD level, at the end of the day, the reason GD levels take so long is because they're just mini game projects, and there's a lot that goes behind that and a lot of time and effort that it takes. Unless you have full 100% passion for it, you don't have the time to really like spend all the time on it, and you'll lose motivation because unlike game development, you're not really getting paid for working on a GD mega collab. At least I've not seen that yet.
A couple more things about Orochi. One is that with 2.2 on the horizon, and the last Orochi preview was 6 months ago. Do you think that 2.2 would like mess with the development of it at all? Because obviously there are going to be so many new tools, so many new things. And for example, with like Eternus, like development on that level has completely stopped just to see what the update is going to be like, especially with like the whole FPS controversy, you know. But I'm talking more from like a creating standpoint because unless unless something dramatic has happened, the level is still being built or still being remade to a modern standard. I'm curious, like, is there any kind of like thought process with the biggest update in game history coming out and potentially messing with it? Is there anything like is that like going in your head at all with Orochi?
Yeah, I mean, with like honestly, just to be transparent about the state of the project is just before preview 3 dropped, the one from 6 months ago, which the fact that that's 6 months ago scares me. But we were in such a good building performance at that time, and everyone was really working hard of it to get that preview out and get to the point where we wanted to release the preview, which was getting everything from the pre-drop done. But I think we worked too hard, so a lot of like the creators on the team have just experienced a bit of burnout from it and creating in a bit. So progress since that preview has sadly been like very slow. But I'm hoping that to pick that up again soon and just see where it goes. But we do have plans for how we want to approach 2.2 in the sense of that we're not going to make it a 2.2 level completely. We're just going to be taking the optimizations, the tricks, and the tools that we can use from 2.2 to just improve it in still the same vision that we have for it. Like we're not going to be reworking the pre-drop again. Like, dear God, no. But like for the things that still need to be made and changed, we're just going to be using 2.2 as a way to like use the tools, the new blocks to make things more optimized. Hopefully use some of the effect stuff and stuff just to like give like the little clean edges and stuff that are just not as easy in 2.1 without a buttload of objects. The end of the day, just with Orochi, it's just a struggle with the level. It's just the song has just become a bit of a personal gripe for me because of the fact that I don't have any official permission to use the song, and with how community wide the level has come, I do not know how good I feel about that. That it be known that I have tried to get permission, more direct, explicit permission for the song, but it's hard to contact people on the other side of the planet in a language you don't speak. I really want Orochi to be out. Regardless of like how much I plan to play GD in the future, I want Orochi to be a finished level. I want it to be verified. I want it to be done. My fear is just that Orochi has been around for so long and it has been hyped for a lot of its days, is that I know for a fact that regardless of what we make, Orochi will not live up to all of that. We'll try to make like our best and try to live up to as most as we can, but realistically speaking, this is a case where I agree and say it has taken too long. I will say one more thing, and that is that the main plan that I am going to be working on with it myself and with a few people, and where I'll be taking hopefully as much of the knowledge I've gained from my game design course over the last few years, and that's what we want to try to kind of break the mold as much as we can of making these like asinine pain to play top levels. So we're mostly gonna that's where I feel like a lot of time will be spent on it soon. It's just they're getting that gameplay just good, because I feel like design wise, Orochi's not gonna blow away the planet anymore, just simply because especially with 2.2 coming out, there's gonna be a lot more eyes on that kind of new stuff and all of that. We just really want to like see if we can like actually improve Orochi gameplay wise, because one thing I've noticed is just top levels right now are just like what. And at this difficulty, it is very hard to combine like staying at this difficulty and keeping it fun. That's definitely just difficult. But I want to see how close we can get to it.
I only got two more for you, and I promise from now on I'm not going to be grilling you anymore. But I guess just kind of two more fun questions. Let's say that the first one is, during your time playing Geometry Dash, like your entire time playing it, have you ever gotten an opportunity to do something that you either weren't able to do or that you couldn't, and you look back at it and you're like, damn, I wish I could have been able to do that?
It's weird because there are things I wish I could have done, but there's not as much as a regret about it as much as just happenstance. And I think a very good one from the verification or level beating point of view would have been Ouroboros, which I would have loved to continue and verify till the end. But as things just happened, I just had a long vacation planned to the United States, to which I could not play the game, and I was definitely not dropping that vacation for the damn GD level. But for Vibrant, that was too long of a wait, and I respected that decision because I thought it was fair. But I do kind of wish I still could have had that level under my belt as a verification, because it was an amazing level. And on the flip side, it also comes with the fact that I originally was supposed to have a part in the level, but it was around the time where I just couldn't work on it. So Ouroboros kind of serves as a double level for me having two great opportunities with it that I sadly was not able to fully fulfill on. And another thing would be that I do, to a degree, regret stopping to play the game Not fully, because since I like stopped playing GD as heavily, I've done a lot of other cool things and a lot of stuff like that. But I kind of wish I could like get back into it, but it's a bit daunting and scary to look at GD right now and all the levels and all the difficulty that has come with it. But with that being said, there is also, from the creating point of view, there was one level or like an idea I had in my head that I wanted to work on. But after Astral Divinity, I was definitely a bit done with it all, especially because of all the stuff around it. But that concept hasn't gone anywhere, and I plan to bring that concept with me when 2.2 actually drops, because I feel like at this point starting a level is just as pointless as it can get. That being said, we've been saying that for the last 3 years, so I don't know how true that is. But if Rob Top is to be believed, I do want to start on that whenever 2.2 does eventually drop.
Awesome. So one last one, and obviously you've been playing this game for such a long time at this point. You have you've grown a lot, both player, creator, content creator, and as a person. Like you said, you were playing Bloodlust like before you were even an adult. You were like, you said you're like 17, right? So I
Yeah, that would
I
be
just
about
want
it.
to I guess we'll just take the end of this. Um, I want you to, I guess, tell me some people that um, either have been with you from the start or were there to like help you during your time, beating Bloodlust. I guess just the people that were there for you both through thick and thin, because everybody has those people.
Mhm.
Especially you, because it's such a hard thing to do, such a behemoth of a level, and obviously you probably had kind of help to do that. So put some names out there.
I mean, I'll just start with the MVP of it all, and that is Red UC. Like always has been. That was like honestly since like most of my GD, and he was like there the most of all. He was like the supporter of it all, the goat, the one I like owe a lot to. Obviously, Manix just being a good and supportful host to a level like that as well. And there's a lot of people that I can name, but so many of them have changed names as well over time and usernames, so it's a bit hard to give the proper shout outs. But my entire like Discord like staff community at that time, so people like Airsus, Isaiah, Violet, formerly someone called like Blitzer, who you might now know as like the former like list mod like leader, the demon list leader for a while. Cherry Blossom, Roy was another big one for me. A bunch of like Dutch friends and just like general people like that were a lot around me, but also just there were also just big community members that were really just supportive of the Bloodlist process. Costa is a really good one to mention because we obviously had our little race with him doing Yadagaratsu and me doing Bloodlust, and we were kind of seeing like how that would go. And little did we know that Bloodlust would take quite a bit longer. We thought that was like a really close race up until it wasn't. And we also originally promised each other that like once it was done, we would beat each other's levels. And while I did eventually, after like 3 years, beat Yada, I understand that he never went to bother with Bloodlust. I can fully understand that. I have to also give a shout out to like Sombrero and Diamond, Mike Berserker, or a few other people. Just like these were like my like the goats of my Twitch chat and stuff like that. The mods, but also just the active people that were just always there and vibing with us. I mean, I can very quickly look in my server and see how many people still have the VIP role because those were given out for a reason. Oh, let me see how this. Oh, Discord has changed. um, but yeah, no, it's like there were a lot of people surprisingly that were just there from beginning to end of Bloodlist, and I have so much. I'm so grateful for all of them. Yeah, I think I named like the main ones honestly. Oh, Cywet obviously is very important. Touch Deluxe, Zeroya is very high up on that list. And Saves. That's I think those are the main people that I think really supported me through this level. But like I said, main MVP will always be Red Hussey for that. He is the one that made the Bloodlust video intro as well and other stuff as well. He was always there. He's in most of the calls, honestly, if you look at the streams and the previews as well. And maybe like the let's say as well, it's just maybe it's a bit cliche to say, but it was just also just such a large part of the community as a whole. Um, because we like there's often like talk about, especially when we mentioned the Crazen thing like that, about the people that were like, oh, you're taking too long and stuff like that. But there were so many, if not like infinitely more people that were just really supportive about it and really just like always were like just fucking you can do it, bro, just like you can do it. And some said it in the way of just do it, man, you can like do it already. And others were just like in the sense of like, oh, just like we know you can do it, just take your time and take it how you need, take your rest, but you can do it. And like there were so many people. And I think the best example you can look at that is if there are some Twitch bots still alive, it's just the way the chat would explode whenever I did get far. I think that's very telling.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You always have to you always gotta talk about the people that helped you get there.
And
It's such a
maybe
it's
like the
such a
let's say
huge
as well,
part.
it's
Yeah.
just maybe it's a bit cliche to say, but it was just also just such a large part of the community as a whole. Um, because we like there's often like talk about, especially when we mentioned the Crazen thing like that, about the people that were like, oh, you're taking too long and stuff like that. But there were so many, if not like infinitely more people that were just really supportive about it and really just like always were like just fucking you can do it, bro, just like you can do it. And some said it in the way of just do it, man, you can like do it already. And others were just like in the sense of like, oh, just like we know you can do it, just take your time and take it how you need, take your rest, but you can do it. And like there were so many people. And I think the best example you can look at that is if there are some Twitch bots still alive, it's just the way the chat would explode whenever I did get far. I think that's very telling.
It was such a legendary time. And unfortunately, I really didn't know Twitch that well, so I wish I could have been there. But I was definitely, in tune with all of that. It was so crazy as an outsider because like there was like this pedigree to it because like it doesn't really happen nowadays, but I think the reason why it was so like such a big thing is because when it was being verified, everyone knew that it was going to be number 1. Everyone knew that it was like this was going to be like before. And like I said, it's lesser nowadays, but for a while there was always the level that raised the ceiling. Like first it was bloodbath with Riot, and there were a couple more top ones, and then there was there's Bloodlust, which was the big one, and then I'd say after that would be like Zodiac, and then it just keep going up. There were like all of these levels that like you knew this was like this was it, you know. Um, I guess that happens less nowadays because the skill ceiling is so high that not only is it like our level so hard that it's hard to figure out which one is harder than the other, but also like I don't know. It was so cool to see everybody like just rallying around one thing. That doesn't really happen anymore.
No, I
And
think
that
I
was
think a
such a
big
cool experience.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is just because of the leap that Bloodlust was and Bloodbath were, but levels like that. It's just I've noticed a lot with the difficulty as well. It seems a lot more incremental, which is understandable because so much difficulty you can add it nowadays. Um, but it's just something that's just crazy to think about. And I had this talk with a friend, Zeroya, literally like today. And it's just the realization of the fact that I started Bloodlust, this level that was so absurdly difficult. I started that at the time that Bloodbath was the hardest level, and that is just an insane thing to think about, that we tried to reach that high for the stars that quickly, that early. When honestly, I think a reason why Bloodlust took so long is because I wasn't ready for it, and I don't think a lot of people were ready for it or could have been ready for it. Um, it was too much. It was too big of a jump we tried to do early on, and but it resulted in this level that just like had so much anticipation behind it that I think it took 8 hours for it to be rated and placed number one on the list after verification.
Yeah, that
Or
just
if not
that
less.
just doesn't happen anymore, man. It doesn't happen
No.
anymore.
Also, I will say one thing, by the way, because we mentioned it real quick. Yeah, I'm the one that put the triple spike there. And while it is, in hindsight, a really bad game design move, right? As someone who does game design now. Um, that being said, watching Skolo die on it, who was my rival, one of my rivals in the community at the time, watching Skolo die on it in recording was made it all worth it, and I do not care anymore. I have no regrets about it. That's all I wanted to say.
You would have regretted it if you died there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That triple
Well,
spike probably would have been gone. Honestly, I never thought I would actually be able to do this, but it's kind of cool that I get to say to you personally, thank you for verifying that level, because you kind of like paved the way for like a whole future generation of players, in the sense that if you're determined enough, you can do anything. Because
yep.
like I've said before, like your story
And your journey verifying Bloodlust was completely unheard of. Nobody had ever done anything like that before. That wasn't even a thing that entered into people's minds. And now, with people like Nepesta and Vision and all of these people that are, might not, like years ago have been able, like they would have been like, oh well, my hardest is like, windy landscape, or something like, or like cataclysm or something like that. Like I'll never be able to like beat a level like on that pedigree. And we've seen time and time again people reaching to the stars, just achieving their dreams, jumping from like some like harder insane demon up to like firework, which is like a top 10. It's to me it's extremely admirable that as no matter what it is, what obstacle you have, that there's always a way around it. And you were the first person to like prove that, because like I when you first got it, I don't think anybody could have beaten it. Like I think if Serve had gotten a copy, he probably would have dropped it. I don't think Riot would have been able to do it. I genuinely think that you were the only person at that time that would have been able to do it. And I think it's such a cool story, this whole thing. And it's been talked about to death, millions and millions of people, know at least know Bloodlust. I would say maybe like still millions of people know the story of Bloodlust, your story, but it's so cool to be able to, I guess, see it from your eyes, because there's I don't know, because there be to every story there's there's a person,
Mm-hmm.
there's it's one thing to say like, well, on April he made it to Tayman, and then 3 months later he beat the bloodbath part, but I think it's important that, from both a historical standpoint, and also from, just a storytelling standpoint, that I think it's really important that, people know, like, well, really who you, like, are as a person, what you went through, your perseverance as a person, because it wasn't easy through day one, you know? And I think that's really cool that you stuck it out for that long. And that's something that I really admire, especially for that time period. I really admire what you did.
Thank you. I mean, I'm just happy I was able to leave a mark on the community, and there are multiple ways to leave a mark, but I'm glad I was able to leave a positive one. That being said, if you, as you say, being the first one in of the people to do these crazy jumps, to anyone who is interested in doing though, I do recommend getting some stepping stones for yourself, because I do not think going from Bloodbath to Bloodlist, or God knows from a hard demon to fireworks, is good for your mental state. I understand not wanting to go through every demon to get to the hardest one, but I would say take decent steps, because I look at the jumping culture today in the community. I'm a little like, that's the one part they shouldn't have taken away from Bloodlust, I feel, but that's how I look at it.
To a degree, I do agree with you, because like you said, there's like some dude, he went from like 9 circles to fucking firework. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
I respect it, and I think it's admirable, but I also think it's on the borderline of just being crazy.
but I mean, at the same time, you want to go ahead, I
Yeah, no, no one should stop you, but
congratulations.
do think about yourself.
Yeah, yeah, like, do what you want, but don't put yourself on the line while doing it. Well, so thank you so much for being here, taking your
Thank you
time.
for
It's
having me.
been it's taken a minute to be able to arrange this, but I mean, 3 hours and 9 seconds. We literally just hit the 3 hour mark. That's crazy.
Nice.
But it's been great hearing your story, and hopefully this brings a new perspective for people.
It was a great time, and I'm very happy to be done with it. I am a little shocked at how many of the details have faded from my mind, I will say. I mean, it was it was a while back, but you know, the way you specifically mentioned some dates did make me realize, like, God damn it, it has been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah,
But
it's a long time ago. The reason that I wanted to like do this now was because I was watching this GD podcast, which was like Blue Iced Cave, who made Slaughterhouse, probably know him, and FN something 04, I forget, and they had Riot on for an episode, and I was shocked about like how little he remembered, and I was like, man, because I've had this idea for a really long time, but I just had a really hard time contacting you. So I was like, man, I got to do this now, because I time's a ticking and memories a fading. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Pleasure talking with you.
yeah,
Thank you so much for
taking time out of your day to do this.
No problem.
You've
Thank you
been
for
great. Thank you for answering all the
Yep.
questions like so amazing. Like you went into so much detail, which I appreciate so much because like the more the more info you gave, then the better I can make it. So
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry
really
I couldn't
appreciate
make
it.
the fucking specific progress points any more exciting to explain because it was just Bloodlust was just the same shit for a year and a half.
I mean
But,
it. I mean it did get pretty spicy around the 98 part. Anyway,
all right,
I'll talk to you later.
no problem. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Have a good day for you. Is
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
have a
you have
good
a day
day,
now.
and you have a good night. It's
Thank you very
weird.
much.
All right, see you, man.
See ya. See ya.